How does a philosopher bridge the worlds of pagan thought and Christian belief without losing the essence of either? How does a thinker in the 2nd century boldly argue that reason and faith are not rivals, but companions? This was the daring path walked by Titus Flavius Clemens, remembered as Clement of Alexandria. Born around 150 AD, most likely in Athens, Clement came of age in a world where the intellectual dominance of Greek philosophy stood alongside the rising but vulnerable Christian faith. Rather than dismissing the ideas of Plato, Aristotle, or the Stoics, he saw them as valuable stepping stones toward higher understanding, a radical notion for his time. The details of Clement's youth remain sparse, but what emerges from his own words is the portrait of a seeker, a man driven by an unquenchable thirst for knowledge. He traveled extensively across the Mediterranean, seeking out teachers from Syria to Palestine to Italy, learning from diverse voices, always searching for deeper insight. This journey of discovery eventually led him to Alexandria, a vibrant crossroads of cultures, languages, and beliefs. It was here that Clement encountered the man who would shape his thinking in profound ways, Pantaenus. Pantaenus, once a Stoic philosopher, had converted to Christianity and brought with him the rigor, logic, and discipline of Stoic reasoning. As head of the catechetical school of Alexandria, the first known Christian institution of higher learning, Pantaenus fused Greek philosophical methods with Christian instruction. His approach emphasized that truth could be sought through reasoned debate, not just through tradition or authority. Under Pantaenus' mentorship, Clement immersed himself in Scripture, not as a closed book of commands, but as a text open to inquiry, reflection, and dialogue. He learned to ask challenging questions, to explore the symbolic meanings behind biblical passages, and to place Christian doctrine in conversation with the philosophical currents of the ancient world. This method did not weaken faith, it strengthened it. By understanding the intellectual frameworks of his contemporaries, Clement could speak their language and invite them into deeper conversation. When Pantaenus either stepped down or passed away, historical sources remain unclear, Clement succeeded him as the leader of the catechetical school. This was not merely a teaching post, it was a position of significant influence at a time when Christianity was still shaping its identity. The school welcomed students of all backgrounds, the curious, the skeptical, the devoted. Clement saw education as a transformative process, one that required both the sharpening of the intellect and the cultivation of moral character. His writings reveal the heart of his philosophy. In Protrepticus, Exhortation to the Greeks, Clement directly addresses those steeped in pagan tradition. But instead of condemning them, he appeals to their respect for reason and beauty, urging them to consider Christ as the true fulfillment of the ideals they already admired. In Pedagogus, the instructor, he shifts focus, offering ethical guidance to Christian believers on how to live virtuously in everyday life, covering matters as practical as diet, dress, and personal conduct. His third major work, Stromata, Miscellanies, is a sprawling collection of reflections that weaves together philosophy, theology, ethics, and scripture. Here, Clement explores complex questions. What is true knowledge? How does one grow in spiritual understanding? Can faith and science coexist? Throughout his work, Clement does not write as an authoritarian demanding obedience. His tone is persuasive, measured, and deeply thoughtful. He calls his readers into a shared pursuit of wisdom, not into passive acceptance. Wisdom, for Clement, is not a static achievement, but a continuous path, an active process of inquiry, reflection, and growth. Belief, in his view, thrives on examination. Faith without critical thought risks becoming superstition. Philosophy without spiritual purpose, he warns, can become arrogance. He frequently invokes the concept of the Logos, the divine reason at the heart of the universe, identified with Christ himself. This idea, borrowed from both Stoic and Platonic traditions but reshaped through Christian insight, allowed Clement to argue that seeds of truth existed even outside the Christian community. Such seeds, he claimed, were planted by the same divine Logos who revealed himself fully through Jesus. In this way, Clement did not dismiss the wisdom of earlier thinkers. He integrated it. This bold synthesis helped lay the intellectual groundwork for future Christian scholars. It influenced generations of theologians, including his most famous student, Origen, who would continue the effort to bring faith into meaningful dialogue with philosophy and science. However, Clement's life was not free from turmoil. Around 202 AD, during Emperor Septimius Severus's reign, persecution of Christians intensified. Facing growing hostility, Clement likely fled Alexandria. His name vanishes from official records after this period, and much about his final years remains a mystery. Clement of Alexandria died around 215 AD. His writings survive as a compelling invitation to think deeply, question earnestly, and seek harmony between reason and belief.